Welcome to episode 3. We are outside now because pretty much everything we're going to do from here on out involves some pretty noxious fumes. So make sure you're working outside or in a well-ventilated area, or at the very least with one of these. Safety first! So there's kind of a hot debate in the world of PVC crafting about what comes next. Do you shape the pieces or do you glue the pieces? Now, I'm a firm believer that you should glue them first. And that's because if I've got this piece right here, if I glue this edging on first, I can guarantee to get a much stronger seal along the edges because both pieces are flat. Whereas if I warp this piece first and then try to put this on it, it's just harder to get them to bend the same way. So for me, episode 3 is gluing. I have glued after shaping before, and it's just harder. There are some situations that require it, but I don't recommend it. So, you got your pieces cut out, and you need to glue them together now. There are two main types of glue I use with PVC. This is the first. So this is Bob Smith Industries Instacure super glue. When I buy it at my local store, the Hobby Stop, it changes what it looks like. This is what it looks like if you buy it on Amazon. And this is my favorite everything glue. I use this a lot to glue PVC to things that are not PVC. Glue PVC to foam, glue PVC to wood. But I do use it also to glue PVC to PVC. It's a super strong super glue that's really easy to use and not that expensive. This whole bottle is about 10 bucks and it goes a long way. Now here's the thing about this glue. Do not heat it up. If you heat up super glue, you create some very terrible gases. I once nearly blinded myself by heating up super glue, and then I held it up to look at it and the fumes got into my eyes. It's incredibly painful. So I mainly use this on pieces that I don't intend to shape. If they're already where they need to go, or if I just need to make more layers, this is what I'll use. But do not heat this glue. If I'm just gluing PVC to PVC and I intend to heat it, I use this glue, Christie's Red Hot Blue Glue. This is a PVC glue that is meant for PVC, and what it actually does is it will melt the outermost layer of PVC that you put it on. So you layer it on one side, then you layer it on the other side, squish them together, and the PVC will actually fuse. This is awesome because then when you heat it up to bend it, they are one piece and they will bend together, which is really, really nice. Other things you're going to want to have while gluing are clamps. I use these little tiny clamps. I get them at Home Depot. They're about 40 cents, I think, each, maybe less. And I just have a whole bunch of them that I use to clamp down my edges to make sure I get a really firm seal. The PVC glue doesn't take very long to dry to the touch. It can take a while to fully cure, especially if you're working with really thin PVC. It might take as much as a few days to cure. But for the most part, it only takes a few hours before you can start bending, or less. It's really easily workable. Now, I use these little ones because I usually just go around the edge, but if you need to go farther in, there are these bigger ones. The bigger ones make me a little nervous because sometimes their clamp is so strong, they will dent the PVC, and then you'll have to work with heating and sanding to get out that dent. So, let's get to gluing. The blue glue can be really tricky to open, but you can buy this grip that allows you to clamp onto the lid and twist and open it. This is the only way I've ever been able to open it. I can't just open it with my bare hands. But when it's open, it's got the little dauber inside and you're ready to go. I don't know if you can see, but I've traced on my PVC where that border is going to fall, and I'm just gonna lay down a layer of this blue glue just where that border is. You want to avoid having excess glue just because, again, it is going to melt your PVC. So then I layer it onto the trim piece. And then after that's done, I'm going to put another wet coat down on the main piece. I don't really know why I do this. I think I read it somewhere, but it seems to give a better hold if one of the pieces has 2 layers. I'm going to sandwich them together, and I'm going to use my mini clips to hold them down. If you do have excess along the edges, you can scrape that off just with like a paper towel or another piece of PVC if it's still tacky or wet. If it's dried, you're going to want to leave it, and we'll deal with that when we sand the piece to get rid of that texture. I go a little overkill on the clips, but it works. Alright, now this was the piece that had the dart in it, if you remember. So here you can see that I have glued on a 1mm piece behind that dart. And I'm actually going to shape this piece a little bit so that that comes together. I'll go more into shaping in the next video, but since this has to do with gluing, I'll do it here. So I shape it, and then I'm just going to clamp it into place so that it cools together. Then after the piece is cooled, I'm going to glue that brace piece down. So same as before, just putting on some layers of blue glue, and then I scrape off the excess. I'm clamping down the edges, but this goes pretty deep into the piece, so I am going to use some of the bigger clamps and push it down with my fingers. So here I go putting on the bigger clamps, and then I decide, I'm still missing a lot of space in the middle, so I actually grab some washers to use as weights that I press down on that seam so that they just get a tighter hold right there. Now all that's left to do is wait for your glue to dry, and as soon as it is dry, we can get to do our real shaping and sanding business. So tune in next time when we talk about shaping.